If you're a parent of a child that is struggling with learning, attention, memorizing, or maybe some other challenge, I want you to know that you're in the right place, and we are here to help you. As a parent, I know that your time is so valuable, but we are going to give you some important information in this webinar. My name is Kim Hanson, and I am the CEO of LearningRx, the largest one-on-one brain training company in the world. We continue to transform more and more lives of struggling children and adults year after year with our programs.
And I'm Dr. Amy Moore, educational psychologist and director of the Gibson Institute of Cognitive Research, where we conduct research on cognitive assessment and brain training. Our goal in this webinar is to show you how you can transform your child's learning or attention struggles into strengths without having to spend time, energy, and money on options that may end up not even being right for your child.
And this process isn't as hard or time-consuming as you might think it is. In fact, it's giving parents and struggling children a new and an exciting hope. Not to mention, it's saving busy moms time and money. In this webinar, we are going to share some important information, and Dr. Amy and I don't want you to miss any of the components of this webinar because we truly are here to help you. So if you have Facebook or email open, go ahead and close out of that or anything else that might be distracting you and give us your complete attention. I believe that you will walk away from this webinar with a whole new perspective on what it is that your child is going through.
You might even want to grab a pen and paper to take some notes. But before we dive in, I want you to imagine what it would be like to turn your child's biggest learning struggles into strengths. No more tears and tantrums at homework time, no more calls home from the school, no more disappointing report cards. Best of all, I'm talking about a future where your child has a new self-confidence, a new love for learning, and an incredibly bright future ahead of them. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be awesome. In this webinar, we are going to show you how you can get your child there and how you can save yourself hundreds of dollars, time, and energy. Let's go ahead and dive right into this important information.
So it all starts with your child's brain. There are 7 core cognitive skills that our brain uses every day. These skills are attention, working memory, long-term memory, auditory and visual processing, logic and reasoning, and processing speed. From remembering where we put our car keys to the word problem that your child is trying to solve in math class, we rely on these skills with just about everything that we need to do. It's important to understand that your child's academic performance often depends on these skills. What I'm about to show you in this part of the webinar is changing the way that parents look at their child's learning struggles for the better. Now, is your child consistently struggling with something? Learning, reading, paying attention, math, memorizing information? You see, when your child is consistently struggling with learning, reading, attention, memorization, or a different cognitive challenge, it's usually caused by a weakness in one or more of these 7 core cognitive skills that our brain is dependent upon for just about everything we do. So when there's a weakness in one of these skills, it can cause struggles with learning and attention, reading, or math, or more. Let me show you this quick video, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about played out in my own son's life.
On a daily basis, every one of us is bombarded with new information. Our performance in school, work, and life depends on how well the brain grasps and uses that information. To do this, the brain relies on 7 core skills that make it possible to learn new things and perform mental tasks too. When these skills are working together efficiently, we can easily process new information and access the brain's knowledge bank to learn, think, read, write, remember, and solve problems. Let's see this in action. Will you play a quick game with me? Think of the last name of the first U.S. president. Now spell his name backwards. Believe it or not, even this simple task uses all of your cognitive abilities. Let's walk it through together. For starters, to do this, you have to be paying attention. Then you have to remember the instructions, recall his last name, decide how you're going to solve the problem. You might decide to sound out the syllables backwards. Then connect letters to those sounds, or picture the name and read it backwards. And your brain is doing all this in a matter of seconds. But imagine if just one of these skills wasn't working efficiently. Solving problems, doing mental tasks, learning new things would be harder, no matter how many times you're taught or tutored. At LearningRx, we test every client to identify weak skills, then give them their own personal brain trainer to target and strengthen those skills. And stronger cognitive skills make learning easier, faster, and better. That's the LearningRx point of difference.
I hope that video helped you understand the effect that cognitive skills can have on your child. But let me put some more context behind the importance of cognitive skills with my own personal story. My son, Evan, used to struggle tremendously with spelling when he was in the 4th grade. He could read, but he wasn't able to spell well at all. It was a huge learning struggle, and it caused all sorts of problems in and out of school. It was frustrating and disheartening, and I just wanted to see my child thrive. When he was in 4th grade, I noticed at one of the parent-teacher conferences a picture that he drew. On the drawing, he had misspelled his own name. That broke my heart as a mother. I just wanted what was best for my child, and I'm sure you can relate, right? What is it that your child is struggling with? How does it cause you pain as a parent? Are you just looking for the right option for your child? I know how you feel because I've been there. From one parent to another, that's why I'm here to help you and thousands of other parents, because I've been in your shoes and I know how hard it can be. But you're in the right place, so stick around. So Evan's teachers recommended that I just spend a little extra time every night having Evan read out loud. I bought him dozens of books and he read more nightly than the teachers had even recommended. But nothing changed. His spelling didn't improve. Want to know why? Simply working harder wasn't addressing the cognitive skill that was causing Evan to be a poor speller. Working harder was only addressing Evan's symptoms, not the cause. See the difference? Maybe you and your child have tried this approach. Say your child is struggling with reading or math. You start working with your child by continually practicing and working harder at it. On the surface, it makes sense to do that, right? Practice makes perfect. We've all heard that a million times. But you try working harder and you don't see noticeable improvement. Let me tell you why. It all goes back to the 7 core cognitive skills that I was just talking about. This is why the saying, practice makes perfect, doesn't work well here. A weakness in one or more of these skills can lead to poor spelling, reading, problem solving, and a lot of other issues. There was a weakness in one of Evan's cognitive skills that was causing him to be a poor speller. The real problem wasn't with his spelling. The real problem that was causing the poor spelling was a weak cognitive skill called auditory processing. That's why having Evan read more and more wasn't working well. It wasn't addressing the root cause of the poor spelling. It wasn't digging below the surface enough. Now, I'm sure that this isn't your first time that you've tried to get answers in regards to helping whatever it is that your child is going through. We come across so many parents that have tried option after option, and they don't see their child improving like they'd like to see. This can lead to wasted time and money and growing frustration. I want to explain why some of these commonly pursued options don't quite work out. So let's go over 4 of the most common solutions that end up failing many children every year. Kim is going to walk you through them. She'll explain why they fail many children and why they might not have worked out for your child, or why they might not be right for your child moving forward.
Thanks, Dr. Amy. We'll reference cognitive skills more throughout this webinar, so keep what Dr. Amy covered in the back of your head. But for now, let's go over 4 of the most common solutions and why they actually end up failing many children year after year. One of the most commonly pursued options that we see is accommodating for learning struggles. Instead of really digging into why a child is struggling, schools often accommodate for that child. For example, they might be given more time on a test. Maybe they only have to do half of the assignment, or maybe they're given extra help. Now, unfortunately, the educational system isn't designed to be able to identify why a child is struggling and then properly address the root cause of why that child is struggling. Accommodating for a learning struggle isn't truly addressing the cause, and therefore, often it's not actually even helping the child. The next route that we often see pursued is focusing on a struggling child's strengths and really just ignoring their weakness. This is an attempt to compensate for the child's weakness. It might actually appear to be working for a little bit, maybe even for a semester or two. But as academic demands grow, the ability to compensate for the weakness really starts to fade. This isn't an option if the objective is to best help your child overcome their struggle, because it doesn't really actually address the cause of your child's struggle. This next option that parents commonly pursue often ends up in costing parents time and thousands of dollars. In fact, too often, they don't get the lasting results for their child that they're wanting and expecting. I'm talking about tutoring. Now, I'm not here to bash tutoring. Tutoring is a great tool for getting a child caught up to speed on specific subject matter. It focuses on repetitively going over information with your child. But going back to what Dr. Amy said about cognitive skills and learning struggles, if your child is consistently struggling, there is a reason. And teaching and reteaching just doesn't solve the issue. It only creates frustration. It's only a temporary fix. The final option that we see parents commonly pursue is medicating their child, especially with children that are believed to have ADHD. Now, a percentage of children actually have ADHD, but sometimes it can be simply a reaction to helping behavioral issues. The ADHD diagnosis and prescribing of medication are commonly used as, a way out or a last resort approach by frustrated parents and teachers. It's a bit like stepping on a thorn and taking an aspirin rather than pulling out the thorn. In many cases, they don't understand that there's an alternative explanation and treatment. In many cases, the parents just see no other option. Often, that child begins to feel depressed, discouraged, anxious, and frustrated because of all the struggling. And parents are just wanting to help. Before considering medication as an alternative to treatment with medication, educators, parents, and physicians should seek options that are addressing the cause of the child's learning problem instead of simply addressing the symptoms. Maybe you wish that your child's situation at school was better. Or maybe you've tried tutoring before and it didn't quite pan out and you've been doing it year after year. You might be confused, you might be frustrated, and you're probably exhausted. You just want what's best for your child. And I understand. And that's why we are here today. Hopefully, this explanation brought you a little bit of clarity. Now, don't worry, we aren't just going to critique different options out there. We really are here today to show you how you can transform your child's learning or attention struggles. Now that we've addressed commonly pursued options that often don't work for children with learning and attention struggles, let's dive more into the power of finding out what's causing your child to struggle.
Remember my son Evan's story? He was struggling with spelling. We worked harder and harder at it each night, but we actually didn't even know why he was struggling with spelling. You see, he wasn't simply a bad speller. Something was causing his spelling issues. What I didn't share with you, however, was how Evan went from being unable to spell to being in gifted language arts classes. As a mother, this made me so happy. At the beginning of this webinar, we had talked about transforming your child's struggles into their strengths. I'm sure that your child's struggles might seem so overwhelming or frustrating that what we said might have seemed too good to be true, and I get it. I tried multiple things to help my son get over his learning struggle, but they didn't seem to be working. It's beyond frustrating. You begin to lose trust in what is recommended to you. I know, because I've been there. You want to know why Evan had that sort of transformation? It all started with finding out what was causing his learning struggle. It was an easy process, too, that I'll go into shortly. Think about finding the right help for your child like this. You're wandering around the jungle and you're lost. You're trying to find the right path, a path that's going to get you to where you want to be. However, you don't have a map. You see so many different trails ahead, and you need to find the right path, so you begin down a path that you hope is the right one. Now, you might be experiencing this in your search for a solution for your child. There are a few different options and quote-unquote solutions, but you do anything for your child, so you start somewhere. You begin seeking different help, hoping that it works instead of knowing that it's the right option for your child. This is why so many parents end up spending time and money on options that end up not being right. And the information that I'm about to share has the power to eliminate that. Now, when you know why your child is struggling, it's like you aren't wandering or lost anymore. It's like you went from wandering and guessing to having a map in your hands, a map that clearly shows you which trail is right for you. You now know the right path. It's been revealed to you. In real life, it looks like this. No more guesswork, no more wasting time and money on options that aren't right for your child, and more importantly, you can have a child with a new self-confidence, a new love for learning, and a bright future ahead of them. That's the exact experience that I went through with my son. I was wandering. I was simply hoping that working harder with Evan would solve his struggles. At the end of the day, it was a waste of energy because it wasn't addressing the cause of his struggle. But when I found out why Evan was struggling, it was like someone gave me a crystal clear map that showed me the right way. It was that easy, and it helped transform Evan's weaknesses into his strengths. Like I said, it's quicker and easier than you think to get started down the right path for the first time. No more wandering, no more guessing. Isn't that awesome? Here's what the process looks like. To find out what's causing your child to struggle, all you need to do is have your child take a cognitive skills assessment. You see, a cognitive skills assessment is going to accurately measure those core cognitive skills that your brain uses for just about everything. It will pinpoint and measure weaknesses, and the right options become so clear and evident. This is the map that I'm talking about. When I found out which skill was holding Evan back, the right path became clear, and his weaknesses are now his strengths. How powerful is that? It was literally as easy as Evan taking an hour-long assessment that's able to accurately measure cognitive skills. And it can be that easy for your child no matter how bad their learning or attention struggles seem to be. Now, if you're here, you probably have a child that's struggling too. You might even have been given a diagnosis. You might be thinking, I know what my child's struggling with. Why does my child need to take a cognitive assessment? Well, you know the what, but you don't know the why. Here's why that's so important. Diagnoses can be helpful, but they rarely give you the full picture of what your child is going through. For example, a parent might know that their child has ADHD, but that doesn't show what's causing the extreme day-to-day struggles and frustrations. That's why we see so many parents of children with a diagnosis pursue options that aren't right for their child. Knowing what your child is struggling with isn't enough. A great example that I tell parents is that when your child is struggling, it's like seeing the check engine light on in your car. You're here because you saw your child struggling, and you know you need to do something about it. When you see your check engine light on, you don't ignore it, you go to a mechanic. Now, is your mechanic going to be able to fix your car if they don't know why your car isn't working properly? Of course not. What does the mechanic need to do first in order to properly fix the car? They need to know why the car is broken by properly assessing the car first. You might have a diagnosis and you might know that your engine isn't working properly. But until you know exactly why your child is struggling and exactly why your car engine isn't working, you're going to continue to guess which options are right. This usually results in wasted time and money, which is why we're here. We want to help your children, but we also want to save you time and money by approaching what's going on properly. Let me show you that my son Evan isn't the only one who's benefited from this process. I've conducted research studies on children and adults that got the right option for their struggles based on their cognitive skills assessment results. and the results are very exciting. Check out these composite cognitive score gains. The studies also showed statistically significant increases in the 7 core cognitive skills that I talked about earlier. All of the individuals involved in the study started with a cognitive skills assessment that showed them what was causing their struggles. From there, they were given the right option that addressed what was causing them to struggle. It's really that simple of a process, and the research backs it up. Imagine seeing your child's learning skills soar. Wouldn't that be amazing? These results include children with ADHD, dyslexia, autism, speech and language disorders, learning disabilities, and other challenges. No matter the severity of your child's struggles, a cognitive skills assessment can help identify the reason. It's important to note that you have to start with a cognitive skills assessment, or else you'll just continue to guess at which options are right for your child. Don't take my word or Kim's on this. This process is backed by science and years of research. As an educational psychologist and cognitive science researcher, I recommend the Gibson Test of Cognitive Skills as the right cognitive skills assessment for you and your child. The Gibson test is a professional cognitive skills test that has been administered over 92,000 times. I recommend this test because it accurately measures all 7 of the core cognitive skills I talked about earlier. Not all cognitive skills tests are as comprehensive as the Gibson test. This test is giving more and more parents important information year after year that can change your child's life, and yours too. Imagine knowing that there is a path that can give you the right option that addresses the cause of your child's struggles.
So, we got to hear Dr. Amy's son's incredible transformation, along with some powerful research that supports the importance of starting with a cognitive skills assessment. Let's watch this short clip on how the Gibson test continues to change more and more lives.
The Gibson test results helped us see a lot of deficiencies, some of course that we were aware of with reading abilities, but I think the biggest surprise was the processing. Without this assessment, we would have had no idea that processing was such an issue with her. I couldn't recommend it to enough people. We have a new child, a confident, happy child, and you can't buy that kind of happiness.
It's important to note that the Gibson test isn't a time-consuming process. It's just as simple as taking the 1-hour Gibson test. Yet the value you'll receive of what you can learn and what you can take away is invaluable. Pete had his daughter take the Gibson test, and he found the right solution for his daughter. And now, after training, he has a new child. Isn't that amazing? The Gibson test is a 1-hour-long digital test that can be taken right from the comfort of your own home. It's easy to access and take. The test is made up of 10 different components that will be able to identify why your child is struggling. You'll be able to easily access your child's score right upon the completion of the test. Just make sure that your child is in a test-friendly environment. And you should monitor your child just so you know that they're not getting distracted. The test also comes with the Learning Behavior Rating Scale, which is a set of observational questions that you as the parent will answer. This test and the results report are easily a $600 value. If you've looked at similar testing by professionals in your area, then you know that. The value of what the Gibson test offer brings you, and why I highly recommend it, is that we are going to include a consultation, our Assessment Insights consultation. If you've recently made an appointment or met with a learning specialist, you know how expensive that can be. It can easily be valued up to $300. This consultation is important because a professional is going to go over your child's results and provide you with the right options for addressing the cause of your child's struggle. Other cognitive skills tests don't always include a consultation. I like to think of a cognitive skills test like an X-ray. You can show an X-ray of an arm to a normal person, and they aren't going to know exactly how to interpret the X-ray. It's possible that they will miss maybe a hairline fracture or another issue. Now, you show that exact X-ray to a trained expert and the X-ray comes to life. They know exactly what's going on, they know the cause of the problem, and they know the right option moving forward. That's exactly what the Assessment Insights consultation is like. When you talk to a cognitive skills professional about your child's results, the results will come alive. You'll get all your questions answered, and best of all, the cognitive skills professional will be able to help you see what's causing your child to struggle, and they will be able to show you the right and the best path for addressing what is causing your child's struggle. Now, I've already mentioned that other cognitive skills tests cost hundreds of dollars. In fact, I have friends and have heard so many parents, so many stories from parents who have even paid thousands and thousands of dollars for testing. And that didn't include any solution. That was just the testing alone. The type of information that the Gibson test will give you is easily valued, as I've already mentioned, anywhere from upwards of $600 and up, and a consultation can easily cost up to $300. If you could get answers about why your child is struggling and can do it for a lot less, would you? I know I would. We aren't going to charge you this much. We aren't even going to charge you half of that to take the Gibson test and receive your Assessment Insights consultation. The fee is only $147. And if you aren't satisfied with what you get out of the Gibson test and consultation, we'll even refund your entire fee. That's how confident we are in this process. So you have nothing to lose, and there's no reason not to get started today. Think about everything that we pay $147 for. A few tanks of gas, a pair of jeans, a cut and color, a night out on the town, the list goes on, right? You will find that this process not only will save you money, but it will save you time. You can start down the path of tackling this issue. When you find out why your child is struggling and get the right option that addresses the cause of their struggles, you can end up having more time with your family and changing your child's future. Wouldn't you like that? You might be a little skeptical. I totally understand. You should be. But remember, we are including the money-back guarantee. Now is the time to take action. To recap, here's what you get when you enroll today. First, you get the Gibson test of cognitive skills. You get easy instructions on how to access the test and the report. You get the learning behavior rating scales, which you as the parent will complete. And finally, you will get the Assessment Insights consultation that will bring you the clarity and the answers that you are looking for. Upon ordering it, it will be super easy to schedule your consultation at your own convenience. Just make sure that your child takes the test before the consultation. Here's what this process has looked like for other families and what it could look like for you. You will finally know why your child is struggling. You'll get the right option for your child. Can you imagine no more guessworking or wasting time and money? More importantly, your child could get started down the path of new self-confidence, more motivation for academics and learning, and a much brighter future ahead of them. If you want to get to the root of your child's weakness, click the button below to get started. If you're not sure, I would highly encourage you to get started anyway. There's no reason to wait. Click the button below to get started down the right path today.
Thank you for watching our webinar today.
And from one parent to another, we can't wait to see this important information transform your child's life. Click the button below to get started today, and thank you for attending our webinar.